Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Kari and today I am doing a spooky recommendations video. I don't generally do themed recommendations outside of genres, but since I've actually read a couple this year, I figured I would do one. The first one I'm going to recommend is a series, and it is the Serafina Series by Robert Beatty, which again I don't have up here, it's in Colorado, but picture on the screen. This series is about a young girl, Serafina, who lives on the Biltmore estate in the early 20th century. She has to figure out what this darkness is that is coming to the Biltmore estate and taking children. Through the course of the series, she discovers multiple things about herself, one of which was really interesting and exciting to see how they did that. The third one I think is definitely my least favorite, simply because it was a little bit more far-fetched. However, I do think it was a really nice conclusion to the trilogy. These books are not necessarily scary, but they feel very atmospheric and dark because it's good against evil, like most books. The next one is House on Hackman's Hill, which is a very, very short book. It is 126 pages, but again, very atmospheric. So if you're looking for a quick read to get yourself in the mood, it is about two children who go into a house that is allegedly haunted by a mummy. The owner of the house and the owner of the mummy disappeared about 30 years ago, I think, and nobody knows where he went, so these kids decide they want to solve the mystery. As a 10-year-old, this gave me nightmares for a week. As a 25-year-old, it did not quite scare me that badly, but it was incredibly atmospheric and definitely fit the Halloween spirit. The next two are classics, and those are Dracula by Bram Stoker and Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Obviously, these are both very spooky books. They have to do with monsters, or rather vampires and Frankensteins. I know Frankenstein is the doctor, we're fine. Anyway, deals with monsters, and Dracula is definitely my favorite, but I think they're both just fun because a lot of people dress up as vampires or reanimated corpses for Halloween. And the reason I mention those, besides them being a little spooky, is because the next series, or two books, is the Athena Club, Adventures of the Athena Club by Theodora Goss. And this series includes The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, which is the first one, and European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman, which is the second. These books follow the daughters of the monsters we've all come to know and love. We have Justine Frankenstein, Mary Jekyll, Diana Hyde, and several others, Catherine Moreau, and you continue joining other women to this group in this one. I can't say who because spoilers, but if you know who Renfield is, it goes in that direction and I love it. Love it. I think it does a phenomenal job of taking the supernatural aspects of the classics that we know and love and reducing them to science. In the first book, Mary Jekyll has to deal with her father and her mother's deaths, and basically they leave her destitute. So she goes on this adventure to try to figure out what exactly happened to her father because she's not entirely sure that his death was natural. She meets multiple other women along the way, including Justine Frankenstein, Catherine Moreau, and Beatrice Rappaccini, and Diana Hyde. For a first book, it is definitely a first book. It sets everything up, it gets them all together and explains their stories. However, I think it did that in a very interesting and new way. It's a story within a story, which makes more sense when you read it. And then with this one, they actually go on an adventure to Europe, obviously. These were total cover buys, and specifically this one was a cover buy. I bought this one because this is the first one and I needed it to read this one. But they are so good. I love the banter between the characters and how the relationships grow throughout the first and second books. There is adventure, and it's set in the 1800s, late, and it's really interesting to see how each of these women have their own personalities and how those come together, specifically in the 1890s. Romance is sort of a peripheral thing, and it's never, at least so far, it has not cropped up as a permanent relationship for any of them, which I really did enjoy as well. It also includes Sherlock and Watson, so how can you possibly say no? These books are atmospheric in the sense that there are murders and kidnappings, and it's very dark and filled with monsters. Those are all of the spooky recommendation books I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in my next video. Bye.